Did you know that pharaohs in Egypt spent their reigns preparing for their death? How glorious would their death be? Ancient Egyptians have always been known for their glorious death rituals, and were known for extravagant tombs where they buried their pharaohs, in pyramids and in tombs throughout Egypt. The pharaohs of ancient Egypt have captivated people's imaginations for centuries with their grand tombs, intricate hieroglyphs, and mysterious rituals. However, there's a lot more to these powerful rulers than meets the eye. From pharaohs who depicted with a beard to all of the pharaohs wore makeup, we'll delve into some of the fascinating and sometimes filthy facts about the pharaohs that you might not have heard before. Number 10. The term pharaoh was not used until 1200 BC. The word pharaoh is considered a common title for the monarchs of ancient Egyptian civilization, but surprisingly the term didn't refer to any kings until Egypt's New Kingdom, 1570 to 1070 BCE. Originally meaning the Great House or High House, refers to a royal place or a holy court. It had a Greek origin and was first used to refer to the meaning of a king in a letter to Amenhotep IV during the mid-18th dynasty, stating, "Pharaoh, all life, prosperity, and health," and was used again in 1200 BC to refer to a different king. With time, the term pharaoh not only referred to the king's palace, but became interchangeable with the term king. The title pharaoh referred mostly to the male king, but on rare occasions also referred to female queens like Hatshepsut. Number 9. Long and hard training was required to become a pharaoh. The pharaoh was the most powerful person in the history of ancient Egypt, as they were representations of gods on earth, the high priests of every temple, and the commander of the entire army. The son of the pharaoh would inherit his kingdom to control all of this. The young pharaoh would become his co-regent and could have to go on special training to prove he's worthy of this power. All the training would focus on building the physical strength and running in a long race to build up endurance. Then to break and tame wild horses and go on hunting expeditions, as it was expected for any pharaoh to lead and fight at the head of his army. The young pharaoh would learn the art of warfare, all the military tactics and politics to win any battle. Number 8. Only a pharaoh was allowed to make an offering to the god. In ancient Egypt, making an offering to the gods was a vital part of daily life, and it was believed that only the pharaohs had the authority to do so. The kings of Egypt were believed to be the direct representatives of the gods on earth, and they had the power to communicate with them on behalf of their people. The responsibility also included performing daily offerings in the temple, which were intended to please the gods and earn their favor. The temple was seen as a sacred space, and only the pharaohs were allowed to enter and perform these rituals. It was believed that by doing so, they would gain great power, protection, and favor from the gods, which would in turn benefit their people. This belief in the pharaoh's divine authority and their exclusive role in religious rituals was a central part of ancient Egyptian culture and society. Number 7. Pharaohs were depicted with a beard. In ancient Egyptian art, pharaohs were almost always depicted wearing a beard, whether in paintings, sculptures, or reliefs. This tradition dates back to the earliest periods of Egyptian history and was believed to have significant religious and cultural importance. While it is unlikely that these beards are real, most men during that time were clean-shaven. They were often made to appear as the bearded or plaited extension of the pharaoh's chin. This beard was seen as a symbol of power, wisdom, and divinity, linking the pharaoh to the gods and conveying their status as a divine ruler. Interestingly, even female pharaohs like Hatshepsut were depicted with a false beard. This custom was a central aspect of ancient Egyptian culture, and it reflects the importance of religion and symbolism in the lives of the people and of the time. Number 6. The pharaoh had the greatest power in ancient Egypt. The pharaoh was God on earth literally. He was the political and religious ruler of Egypt, holding the titles like High Priest and Lord of the Two Lands, and he or she was viewed as being of divine immortality. They made all the laws, kept the order, owned all the land, collected taxes, achieved justice and balance within the lands, and protected Egypt from foreign invaders. They were considered to be God's power on earth, as they were responsible for constructing temples and shrines for worshiping the gods in order to bless them with protection, good health, and long life. Number 5. The pharaoh wore Nemes' crown. The nemesis is a striped headcloth worn by the pharaoh who covers the back of the head all the way to the nape of the neck, and on top of it is a uraeus, which is an upright cobra that symbolizes the pharaoh's divine power. The uraeus is a symbol of an ancient Egyptian goddess, which was a sign that means the pharaoh was ready to strike his enemies with deadly venom if he felt any danger. It was also featured frequently with the crook and fail, which shows the pharaoh's role as a provider of food and well-being for his nation. Number 4. Pharaohs were always depicted young and beautiful, even if they were old and fat. The pharaohs were considered to be creatures of divinity and absolute perfection. That's why they were always portrayed as a symbol of beauty, even if it didn't reflect the true reality. The ancient Egyptians aspired to achieve the ultimate form of beauty and peak of artistic expression to become holy themselves. This was because the pharaoh was seen as a divine being, and as such, they were expected to embody perfection in all aspects of their being, including their physical appearance. This artistic portrayal of the pharaoh as a flawless and idealized figure was intended to emphasize their divine nature and convey their power and authority to the people. This was particularly important in a society where religion and the divine were central aspects of daily life. However, it is worth noting that there were exceptions to this rule, and some pharaohs were depicted with more realistic features, particularly in later periods of Egyptian history. Nonetheless, the idealized and youthful depiction of the pharaoh remained a central element of Egyptian art and culture, reflecting the ancient Egyptians' desire to achieve the ultimate form of beauty and spiritual enlightenment. Number 3. Pharaoh was the human form of sky god Horus. The sky god Horus has also been celebrated as a great warrior and the greatest god for protection thanks to his all-seeing eye. His myth states that he was able to defeat his evil uncle Seth after killing his father Osiris and restoring justice and order to the kingdom. Many of the pharaohs believed the human representation of Horus to be a symbol for victory, and when they died, their bodies would take the form of the god of the underground Osiris. All of these prove how much religion and mythology played a role in their lives. Number 2. All pharaohs wore makeup. Makeup was very common back in ancient Egypt, as they painted around their eyes with black coal, meaning bearing mineral, to reduce light reflection. They believed that lining their eyes with coal would resemble the eyes of the god Horus by creating an almond shape. This act will protect them from evil spirits and eye disease. Both men, women, and also pharaohs wore coal on their eyebrows and eyelashes. They preferred to apply green and blue eyeshadow. Number 1. Pharaohs spent their reigns preparing for their death. The concept of death and the afterlife were essential in their lives, as they created many funerary practices and tombs to fit their legacy and to be their homes in the afterlife. They believed in life after death, so they stocked their tombs with everything they would need when they rose again in the next life for their journey to the underworld. No wonder pharaohs spent their reigns preparing for their death by building grand tombs and temples, creating elaborate burial rituals, and collecting treasures to be buried with. We can still see these tombs today if you visit the Great Pyramid, and also the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings is filled with many kings and queens that believed in resurrection and judgment. Well, if you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you're going to love to watch our video about the first ancient advanced civilization that ever existed. Make sure to subscribe to us and never miss our amazing videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Till then, stay tuned.